Welcome to Strip Cover Lit.
I'm Adrian Ford. I mean, where are you
I'm
going?
Dalton Gentry.
Where are you going with that? You sounded so distraught.
Well, we are here for Harry Potter.
It's a good thing. Adrian Reads Harry Potter.
It's a bad thing. It's a very bad thing, but it's nearly over.
However, I will say, like, the notes this week, I feel Adrian-ish when I'm writing them, because this reading pissed me off. So I'm like, I'm harping on things. I'm like, well,
This reading pissed you off.
that's not right. I shouldn't be harping on this. This is mine. I love Harry Potter. But welcome to the world's most confusing fucking action scene.
Yeah, that was bad.
You're welcome.
And that was very bad, but there's something else I will harp on before that.
But first and foremost, let's break this down a little bit. This is Adrian Reads Harry Potter, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, chapters 3 and 4, the Dursleys departing, and the Seven Potters.
Yeah.
So we have chapter 3, the Dursleys departing. The Dursleys have been warned that they are basically in danger once Harry comes of age, and they agree rather troublesomely, they're not really sure they want to leave the home. Harry is set to wait for Mad-Eye Moody, and we get a brief moment with Dudley of maybe we grew up a little bit, which was nice. I give it that. Or not. We'll get there. In Chapter 4, The Seven Potters, the world's most confusing action sequence begins, involving a multi-Harry airborne dogfight. Hedwig takes a shot, and Hedwig explodes. He's dead. And Harry narrowly... She's dead?
She's dead, yeah.
She's dead. Harry narrowly escapes... Harry narrowly.
Nary a Harry.
Nary a Harry. He escapes, and his wand mysteriously shoots a golden stream at Voldemort. I really just wanted to say golden stream on camera, so I've been waiting for that all week.
Yeah. Do we know what curse that was, the golden stream?
We don't. It's a mystery. Sounds like a late-in-the-game plot twist.
Okay.
Adrian.
Yeah.
How you feeling this week?
It's not good.
Really, don't say.
So, the Dudley deal.
Okay. You didn't like it?
No, I did like it.
Good.
But here's the thing. It made me increasingly conscious of the fact that very few characters have developed or changed through this entire series. The biggest change that we really see in a character prior to Dudley in this moment, which is sort of sprung upon us anyway, right? We're not given any... I mean, we've got the little... I don't know if you have the illustrations in your book.
I do.
But my chapter began with a little picture of Dudley and Harry shaking hands. So we had a bit of warning, but that does not mean that we had reason to see it coming.
Okay.
Again, writing should feel inevitable without being predictable. So the biggest change that we have to this point in the series is what's his name from book 2? Lockhart? Gilderoy Lockhart?
Yeah.
It was book 2, right?
He does book 2?
That was book 2, right? Was that book 2?
That was book 2.
Okay,
I thought you said book 2, but I'm like, no, there's no Gilderoy Lockhart on booktube, sir. But yes, book 2.
I would argue that Steve Donohue's right up there with Gilderoy Lockhart. So we've got... But that change is because he's basically... His personality has been disfigured or debilitated by magic. But other than that, we don't really have much change through this series. Even Harry Potter sort of walks around with wonderment. He's starting to make some decisions, but by God, we're 7 books in. The namesake of your series should develop a little bit. Can you think of any characters that have developed along the way?
Oh.
I mean, how has Hermione or Ron changed? How have they changed?
Fair statement. Hermione seems to still be just the stereotypical know-it-all, the one who has all the answers. Ron is the fall guy, basically, our coward and our humor.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping we're going to see a little more change throughout this novel. But agreed, you're going to say this is the 7th novel. We're 6,000 pages into Harry Potter. We should have seen this previously.
Right.
I do think it was a good moment between Harry and Dudley, though, and it shows that moment of growing up. It's when you go back and, you see the kid that you used to pick on in high school, and, you realize you're wrong. And
you
don't...
a bully in high school, Dalton?
Absolutely not. I was the opposite. I was receiving the handshake.
Me.
I was receiving the handshake. I still have not received the handshake. But it's that moment where we see Dudley maybe grew up a little bit. Accepted the error of his ways and, didn't want to admit it, but he knows.
Right.
So it was a nice little moment.
It was a nice little moment, but it was bad for the series, I think.
Okay.
Because it makes you extremely conscious of the fact that, what's the Dursley father's name?
Vernon.
Vernon is still a one-note character.
Mm-hmm.
The mother, what's her name?
Petunia.
Petunia, still a one-note character.
There was that moment right towards the end where she wants to,
that's
but
fine.
she doesn't.
Yeah, that's fine. It's still the same character.
Okay.
For example, okay, so it would be one thing if characters who are expected to change do not change. That sucks, right? We're looking for that in literature. That's what makes literature literature. But it would be monumental if a character you did not expect to change changed. How did Diddledore change?
I can't say that he did.
Not a note.
Not a note.
Not a tittle. Not a jot, not a tittle.
Now, I would like to come back to this, though, because I do think we are going to see a lot of character development throughout, especially this book. Because a lot of things are going to be changing throughout this book.
Now, I will, because you're saying this now, I will caution you to read carefully and decide whether these are changes in the characters or whether these are just decisions the characters are making.
Okay.
Because there is difference. There is difference.
Change by circumstance.
Well, if it is just a decision a character makes, any character can make any decision at any given time. Do we feel that the decision is made by a character that necessitates that decision? Right? So, Dudley, for example,
yes.
He has changed. Harry Potter, he started the series being a bully to Harry Potter.
Yes.
And then when he found out that Harry Potter was a magician, he was twice as mean to him, right? Harry Potter used magic to save
Sweet Dudders.
Dudders. Because Harry Potter used magic to save Dudders.
Sweet Dudders.
Sweet Dudders. It is through the essential element of Harry Potter being changed in Dudley's eyes that this handshake change in
Sweet Dudders.
Sweet Dudders comes about.
Okay.
Right?
Now, I will argue...
So that change is necessitated
Sure.
through the text. Through that decision to shake his hand is changed, and we see the moment where it happens, and we could have... when it happened, I think everyone was thinking, oh, well, this is a big moment for Harry Potter, right? Because he's using the magic to save
Sweet Dudders.
Sweet Dudders.
Right? I just really want to keep saying that. Thank you. Now, I will say there is one major character change in this particular book here, and we could argue it possibly circumstantial. And I can't really ruin anything, but somebody steps up. Somebody comes into their own and really steps up, answers the call.
One has to imagine that's Ron.
Okay, we'll see.
One has to imagine that's Ron.
We will see when we get there.
Because Ron has been largely ornamental through this entire series.
Mm-hmm. He's the fall guy. He's that bit of comedic relief throughout. He always has been and pretty much always will be. I never see any development out of Ron. It's always the same guy. Along with like Hermione, we can see some minor changes throughout with Hermione.
To this point or going forward?
Going forward.
Okay, but not to this point.
Not to this point. A little more rebellious, I would say, going forward, but that would be understandable, very situational with what's going on.
Right.
But Ron, all the same. But we'll see. We will keep that in mind and keep it in the reading and see what happens.
Okay.
Moving on a little bit, we blew up Hedwig. Any feelings about that? That's your first death here.
Yeah, so it does not seem to be... Why kill Hedwig in that situation?
I wrote right here, why Hedwig?
Yeah.
Completely unnecessary. It's just at the point where we're in this novel, you say, well, people are going to have to start to die.
Right.
It's the last book. Why not go out with a bang, quite literally, and blow up the owl?
And just as passively as it happens, right?
Yeah.
In the cage, I think while Harry Potter is holding it, I don't know. Again, that goes back to a terrible action scene. I have no idea where Hedwig is when she blows up.
We're going to get into that because that scene is a hot mess. Hot garbage.
Yeah.
But no, I remember reading this for the first time when this book came out. This was the one, I picked it up the night it came out and I was supposed to go camping. We got rained out, so we all ended up in a hotel. A big group of friends having a hotel party. And I locked myself in the bathroom and read Harry Potter. And I remember reading that scene, and honestly, I didn't even, I assumed Hedwig was blown up, but I don't know why. It didn't seem necessary, and it seemed very clunky. It was just there for no reason. But yeah, absolutely. Blown up. Blown to bits.
And it is especially troubling because Hedwig is one of the characters so far that's had a little bit of piss and vinegar in her. Right?
True.
Her emotions are written into the character. Mm-hmm. So it would have been nice for Hedwig to have been given some send-off carrying out a mission.
Yeah.
Or maybe even dropping the mission of all owls, which is to send and receive letters, and going ahead and attacking Moldavort, right?
Sure.
In some heroic act that is becoming of a heroine, or someone who has had this much character time in a 7-book series.
True. And even as such a minor character that is Hedwig, basically it's just a gift in the very beginning. This is now everybody has a pet. Here you go. And it's a great gift. It gets Harry through the day. It gives him something to hold on to that magical world when he goes back to the Dursleys.
Right.
But for such a minor character, he just snuffed out. And it honestly just feels like J.K. sat down. It's like, well, it's time to start killing people.
Yeah.
And I did warn you, we're going to be dealing with deaths left and right in this book. So there's your first taste. It only gets better from here.
We have reason to... What is it that happens at the end? What's the big guy's name?
Hagrid?
Hagrid. Falls off of the motorcycle while they're flying.
It's a little bizarre, and it is presumed that they are still in danger, for sure, when we're left off with Chapter 4. However...
That's not... I thought he... What? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Harry basically magicked up the engine, essentially, as they were getting way towards the end.
Is that what was going on?
I'm pretty sure. That's at least how I read it, how I've always read it.
Hagrid. Accio Hagrid. The motorbike sped up, sucked toward the earth face level with handlebars. Harry could see nothing but the distant lights growing nearer and nearer. He was going to crash, and there was nothing he could do about it. Behind him, another scream, "Your wand, Selwyn, give me your wand." I thought that Accio Hagrid. I thought Hagrid had fallen off.
And they are still definitely in peril, for sure.
Okay.
Getting towards that big crash ending. Now, I will say, moving forward, there is one gorgeous death here. There is one character death that is beautiful. Two really good character deaths. One dies for the noble cause, and it is well done. And if you disagree, I'll be pissed.
Okay.
And there is one who dies in the end that's just heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
Just wonderfully heart-wrenching. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about that Seven Potters scene, because that is the most hot mess of writing I've ever seen. Why not take all the characters and make them all Harry Potters and throw them into the air in a very confusing dogfight?
Well, but it's not even that intelligent. So there's 14 people and 7 Harry Potters.
Yes.
That way we can... So I think the only thing that I think is intelligently done is I believe Harry Potter's scar is how the black... What are they called? The Death Eaters?
Death Eaters.
The Death Eaters, I almost called them the Black Order, but I think that's the Avengers. The Death Eaters discover the real Harry Potter. Mm-hmm. So... Does game theory not exist in the magic world? So, if you're going to do this, and you're going to be sending 7 people in the air at the same time, or 14 people in the air and 7 Harry Potters at the same time, whoever is watching knows that only one of those people is the real Harry Potter, correct?
True.
And whoever's watching knows that each of those Harry Potters is with someone who is there to protect them, correct?
True.
Whoever's watching those Harry Potters knows that the only 2 real threats to be carrying Harry Potter are Mad-Eye Moody, because he's the big bad, and Hagrid, because he's the big guy, right?
Okay.
So those are immediately, your odds go up when you say, okay, we're going to attack Hagrid or Mad-Eye Moody. So, what you can do is instead of having 7 Harry Potters in the air at the same time, you've got 14. That way, you cannot identify with whom Harry Potter is most likely to be flying.
Absolutely.
Right?
Harry's with Harry.
Yes. Further, if you would like to increase these odds even more, you make everyone Mad-Eye Moody.
Interesting. So there are no Harry Potters. They're all Mad Eyes.
They're all Mad Eyes. And then guess what? A, I don't have the scar to identify him by. B, Mad-Eye Moody with Mad-Eye Moody 7 times over.
A lot more intimidating.
A lot more intimidating. So if you have a weaker Death Eater, oh my God, I'm not attacking Mad-Eye Moody. Look, Ross, I sprained my ankle on the ground. You know what I mean? But you also, you don't even know if you're pursuing these people, if any of them are Harry Potter.
Okay.
Harry Potter you might send out 7, you might send out 14 Mad-Eye Moodies. Harry Potter stayed on the ground because these people will all immediately be attacked. I then take the back road out.
Magical wartime strategy.
Well, I mean, it's just game theory improving your odds for success,
Fair.
right? Further, if you wanted to be even more devious about it, why don't they go in the air dressed as Death Eaters?
Okay. So no one knows who's who.
No one knows who's who. You've got, so I assume they have some way of, like the coin that burned in their pockets, right? You're going to have some way. It's a magical world. You're making up the rules as you go, obviously, because no one to this point in the series has any idea what can or cannot happen. You will have some way for the good guys to recognize each other.
Okay.
But even then, if I want to... So each spell casts a different color from the wand, right? You only allow your people to use defensive spells, which will cast their own colors.
Okay.
So then you can recognize them.
I think another thing that really bothered me with this, just to add on what you were saying here, is how do they all arrive and how do they fly out?
One's on a motorbike.
One's on a motorbike. Now, I believe some arrive by Thestral as well, which is, the magical death horse, which would be presumed that the Death Eaters would know what a Thestral was.
Yeah.
And being a Death Eater, they've probably witnessed death, therefore they could see the Thestral. So we have a bunch of people on brooms, and we have a bunch of people on Thestrals. What's the one fucking thing that's going to catch your eye? Big-ass motorcycle with a big old giant driving it.
Yeah.
So why do we put Harry in the most obvious of situations? I agree with you. There's a lot of strategy that could have been looked in with this here, and it just seems clunky and terrible and confusing. And what we get here is we also get that scene with the wand. Do you have any thoughts about that, what that's going to mean, what that's going to do going forward with us here? Because it seems completely out of place. There's some mysterious power from Harry's wand now.
With the yellows, the golden
With the
shower.
golden shower. Yeah, the golden sparks. I tried to say stream, but then you slipped up. Thanks.
I didn't slip up.
All right.
I just caused you to slip up.
You're welcome.
What spell was he casting, or did it just spontaneously come forth?
Spontaneous magic.
Okay, so...
Unidentified spontaneous magic.
It's Diddledore.
You think so?
Yeah. It's Diddledore with... So, you've got the big swinging Diddledore there, right?
Okay.
Casting a golden shower.
Yeah. I was really hoping you'd be talking about the wand shooting a golden stream into the night.
Well, and again, we've got Moldavort begging for someone else's wand.
Yes.
To do something which he's not comfortable doing with his wand,
Okay.
we're assuming. I'm not sure. I do think it was a nice touch that Moldavort was flying on his own. I think that is... so it's like in Star Wars, how the bad guys have red lightsabers.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's different. You give the bad guy something different. You give the big bad something different entirely. That's why in Star Wars, the big bad doesn't even use a lightsaber. He's got the electricity, the lightning from his fingertips, right?
I thought you were going somewhere else with that.
No.
Yeah, unlimited power.
Yeah.
And that is something, actually, once you get into the Harry Potter lore a little bit, spontaneous flight, or the ability to spontaneously just fly without the assistance of a broom, is a big deal in the Harry Potter universe, because who have we witnessed who has done that so far? The only one is Voldemort, who's just taken off and been able to fly. In the film versions of this, one other character has demonstrated doing that, and that's Snape. Therefore, they equate Snape having great magical power and being able to do the same, because it's a very difficult feat, because the instrument is definitely necessary for the wizard to fly.
Well, and it seems to... So we're mired in Christian symbology here, right?
Okay.
So it seems to, if Moldavort is the evil equivalent of God, this puts Snape as part of his triumvirate. Well, we don't see him fly in the books, though, do we?
No.
Okay.
No.
So,
Little movie lore,
Yeah.
but that's fine. I think the whole idea with the wand, whether you believe that was Dumbledore, I think the big reveal with that one there is so just terrible and dramatic for the sake of dramatic. It's just going to piss you off. But speaking of
it's going to
dramatic-
piss me off because it wasn't even a big deal in this chapter.
No, it was
It
just
was just
mentioned
kinda
very
mentioned.
coyly, and
Yeah.
it's going to be a big deal for this book.
Okay.
So keep that in mind.
Okay.
But speaking of dramatic for the sake of dramatic, we get good old Harry Potter doing the same thing he did with Ginny Weasley. Oh, I don't want to hurt my friends, not you. Let me go it alone, please, comrades. Let me just take the brunt of the war myself. We get that again. We get super dramatic Harry Potter for no reason.
Well, but he's not even shut down in the way that he should have been shut down by Moody.
No.
The way he should have been shut down is Mad-Eye Moody looking at him saying, "Look, bud, it's not about you.
Yeah.
Shut up and comply."
Thank you. But we get that again. We get this very huge shift just with the last part of Book 6 and now Book 7, where Harry is no longer the triumvirate hero. He's the protector of all.
He's the troubled,
Moody.
emo.
Yeah. Oh, please. Yeah, I tried to flip my hair. I'm so sorry. I used to have bangs. Oh, please. Don't worry about me. It's cheesy and it's terrible, and it seems very heavy-handed that J.K. is trying to make him into more of a hero than he actually is.
More of a troubled hero.
A troubled
than he
hero.
actually is. He has been sort of a musketeer, right?
What we've argued, especially during this video here, about characters being two-dimensional and never changing. This seems like we're trying to force a change now, of just making him this troubled hero.
Yeah.
And it just seems just awkward and honestly terrible. Like I said, I read these 2 chapters and like my inner Adrian came out and like, I'm supposed to like this. This upsets me.
Well, what was it that you think triggered you
What triggered me?
into being just at odds with the text?
I was fine with chapter 3. I'm comfortable with that. Dudley grows up. That's fine. That chapter 4 with the 7 Potters, maybe it was exciting the first time around when you're not reading it closely. It is just a terrible scene.
Yeah.
If you think of it from a writer's standpoint of saying, I'm going to, make all these 7 Harry Potters and I'm going to make this cluster of a scene, if done by an excellent writer, could have been a very interesting idea.
And I imagine, I hate to interject, I imagine it was well done in the movie.
Yeah, it was. It was very cinematic.
Yeah.
So again, we're seeing a little bit of Hollywood dripping into the writing here, but you got to know your boundaries.
Yeah.
If you can't tackle something like that, don't try because it's not going to end well.
Or what, as a writer, what you have to do is put it in the simplest terms possible.
Okay.
If you don't have the skills to, and I'm trying to get away from shitting on J.K. Rowling.
That's my job this week.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
If you don't have the skills, you have to make it as simple as possible. One of Kurt Vonnegut's rules for writing was have mercy on the reader.
Okay.
J.K. Rowling is merciless in that scene because she doesn't have the skills to write a scene as convoluted as that. Argue whatever you want for how miraculous her writing is, if that's what you want to do. She does not have those technical skills. We see that time after time in her action scenes. So if you don't have the technical skills, you have to either A, not do the scene like you suggest,
Okay.
or B, have mercy on the readers and go as simple as possible so that whatever you're saying can be seen by your reader. If what you're saying can be seen by your reader, then regardless of if it is fanciful or not, at least you'll get your point across.
Okay. Now let me try here to play the other side of the fence with this troubled hero thing. Because we are going to see this start developing here, and this would be a very understandable reaction to things when we're talking about Harry Potter. Beating all the way back with Book 4, Cedric Diggory died because of me. Book 6, Albus Dumbledore died because of me. Book 7, Hedwig died because of me. We're going to start getting that, and honestly, that would weigh on a person. That seems justified. However, this moody teenage angst that we're building up here, where I'm just going to protect my friends, seems to be a very incorrect reaction. At the ripe age of 16, 17, Harry Potter, that is not how I'd react to this. Harry Potter should be in breakdown level, quite honestly, because he's seeing those closest to him dying because of him. That seems very much at that point when you start to blame yourself for those actions.
Yeah.
And we don't get that. And I think that would have been really developed and really well done if we could have saw a bit of that blaming of yourself, these 7 different stages of grief that we're pulling through here with Harry Potter. But we don't. We just get, oh, he's dead, I feel bad, moving on to being moody again.
Book 5 is a lot of time is spent regretting the Cedric Diggory thing, right?
It is.
But he never really comes to a conclusion with it.
Even in Book 5, Sirius Black dies because of me. There's no... And Sirius is a little bit different. We do get some grieving with that because he is a family member. But we don't get that developed grief that would hopefully develop the character a little bit more.
The one thing that I will fault for is we don't see Harry Potter get angry.
True.
If he gets angry, we at least know that he's struggling with it, right? Because, damn you, Diddledore, tell me why this is happening.
True.
So at least I have a tool with which to deal.
A little Darth Vader action. The chosen one, the all-powerful, maybe getting a little angry, giving into that dark side a little bit.
Right.
Just, you see how it feels.
Which we've seen is in him.
It is in him. Anything else? It seems like you're looking for something there.
You're speaking about Moody, and I wanted to bring this back to Mad-Eye. And I was looking for quotes to really make the point, but I can't really find any good ones. Mad-Eye Moody comes right after Vernon leaves. Mad-Eye Moody sounds exactly like Vernon.
Okay.
What's his name? Vernon
Dursley.
In these chapters. No need, snarled Moody. With you know who out there in half the ministry on his side? Potter. If we're lucky, he'll have blah, 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 blah. So he's constantly yelling at Potter, but one tone and one-dimensional. It does not sound like someone who is in command of the situation. This sounds like someone who, like Vernon Dursley, is not in command of the situation, but wants to appear so.
Okay.
So I think that is a fundamental flaw in the writing of J.K. Rowling, that someone... How often do we see this? The only person that we see, the only people we ever see that are in control of the situations without being angry and over the top are Snape and Moldavort. Because Snape's constantly... He'll crack a joke at someone's expense. And, well, we see Snape do that, Moldavort do the same thing in the very first chapter here. They've got the Death Eaters in a circle at the table, and he's making jokes about them, and no one's going to talk back.
Okay.
Right? So those are the only 2 times where we see someone in control of a situation that is not, oh my God, look at me, I'm super masculine enough to yell and scream.
And given that power, that grizzled war veteran status, when you see someone who is high-ranking, if we take military, for example, let's go with General Mattis. He is a very refined, quiet man. But when he speaks, he has your attention.
You listen.
You listen.
He talks, you listen.
Would have been much better to have Moody in that light. I agree with you there.
But the person that we have closest to that here is Scrimgeour.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Looks like a war general.
Even Vernon, I believe at one point, says he wishes Scrimgeour could have come to assist them.
Yeah.
Because he looks like the man we want for the job.
Right.
But we will be back, Adrian. We will be back next week with chapters 5 and 6 of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. We're going to continue moving forward. We're going to get some more deaths and hopefully a few more answers and a shitload more questions. I'll tell you that much.
And I hope that you have a little bit of persnickety attitude going forward as well. Maybe there's something in the next chapters you'll hate.
We'll see. We'll see when we get there.
Yeah.
But if you like this kind of thing, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and give this video a like. We do Adrian Reads Harry Potter every week here on Strip Cover Lit.
Until it's over.
Until it's over, and we're getting close. Very close. And if you want to help us create more content like this here on Strip Cover Lit, there is a link, as always, to our Patreon to be found in the description below. I'm sure he feels good about himself. Holy shit, that was clunky. My apologies.
What do you mean?
I feel like I had a lot of just